Hi there, hope you're all doing well. I am back with my Mummified Undead army this week. This is a skeleton giant. It was primed in black and I get started with the bones and the skin with monster brown. Going to take a bit more time with this one as it's such a large piece. It's going to draw the attention when the whole army's together, so you have to make it look a little bit better. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments below. You can also join Discord using the link in the description. There you can share anything you have been hobbying on. Going to give that skin some love now with a bit of a mid-tone. This is Kobold Skin. This is going over all of those raised parts and just leaving that monster brown in the recessed parts. For the highlight on the skin, I used Corpse Pale. This is not quite as brown tone that the skin is, but once the wash goes on, it will blend them together and just give it a good dead flesh highlight. Now onto the bones with skeleton bone. Same as all my mid-tone colours, this is going over all of the raised areas and just leaving that monster brown in those shadowed parts. To finish up the bones, I use bone white for all of those areas facing upwards. This gives them the sort of look that there's bright sunlight shining on them and it bleaches the bones ever so slightly. Next up, I get started with my army colour. This is royal purple for the skirt and undershirt. Not entirely sure if this is a skirt or just a collection of leather straps, but purple still looks good either way. For highlighting the purple, I've done an edge highlight of Hextalicon, just to separate those edges and make them pop a bit more. With the purple done, I get started on the longest part of the mini. This is the wrappings using mummy robes. Going over black paint like this, it requires about 3 layers in total to get a good opacity. Moving on to the metal parts, I went for greedy gold for pretty much everything but the handle of the hammer. To do the handle of the hammer, I used old silver. While this was out, I did take this opportunity to do a few highlights on the gold, just to add a bit of variation, make it look a bit more shiny. There are a few bits of leather around this mini. For these I used charred brown. It's a decent colour for leather, with all the colours it doesn't draw too much attention towards them, as these aren't really important parts, so you don't want your eyes drawn towards like a leather strap. Spicing up the hammer a little bit, I used weapon bronze just to add a little bit of extra detail. You can use gold for this, but I felt like there was just too much gold on the Mini already. Next up is the base and the rock that is attached to the hammer. For these I used desert tan. It does kind of make sense that the hammer being made of a rock is going to be the same type of rock as the base, since they're in a desert environment. The gold was looking too much still, so I grabbed royal purple metallic and added a little bit of variation to that paneling. To add a little more to metallics, I added Azure Magic, just to break up that gold that bit more. Moving on to the washes, I get started with soft tone with pretty much everything except the purple. For the purple, I surprisingly used purple tone, just to add those shadows in. After the soft tone has dried a decent amount, I went over all of the sand on the base with mid brown. This just adds to help a bit of separation from worked stone and raw sand. To tie the base colours together that little bit more, I gave it a dry brush of skeleton bone. Finally, the base rim is done with charred brown. And that will be it for my first skeleton giant. There's going to be 3 of these guys on the table eventually, but I got 1 for now, which is a good start. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments below. You can also join Discord using the link in the description where you can share anything you have been hobbying on. As always, there will be photos of this mini on my Instagram and Ko-fi pages. Speaking of Ko-fi, if you want to support the channel more than you already do, on my Ko-fi page you can drop a one-off tip towards helping getting better equipment to make these videos. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed. Most importantly though, be kind to each other.